When we talk about starting each new day with Jeremiah 29, we are talking about waking up with a promise that is bigger than anything life can throw at us. There is something powerful about beginning the morning, not with the noise of our problems, not with the weight of yesterday, not with the uncertainty of tomorrow, but with a divine assurance that whispers into the soul, I know the plans I have for you. Those words don't just sit on a page. They breathe life into tired hearts, renew worn-out spirits, and ignite something inside us that reminds us we are here for a reason. Every sunrise becomes a personal reminder from heaven that hope is not lost, purpose has not disappeared, and God's plan is still unfolding even when we can't see the pieces coming together. There are days when we wake up with questions heavier than our confidence, days when we open our eyes and the very first thing we feel is worry, pressure, confusion, or exhaustion. But Jeremiah 29 doesn't speak to us only on the days we feel strong. It speaks louder on the days we feel weak. It speaks directly to the moments when we don't know which direction to take, when our path feels blurry and when our heart feels overwhelmed by things we wish we could change but can't. It steps into those moments like a steady hand on the shoulder, reminding us that we are not navigating this life alone. God's voice rises above the noise and tells us, my plans for you are good. My plans for you hold a future. My plans for you include hope that no circumstance can cancel. When we choose to let that promise become the foundation of our mornings, everything about the day shifts. Instead of waking up to problems, we wake up to purpose. Instead of living in reaction to what happens around us, we start responding from a place of confidence within us. We begin to understand that no matter what happened yesterday, mistakes, disappointments, failures, setbacks, God didn't abandon his plan. His plan is not fragile. His plan isn't shaken by what shook you. His plan doesn't collapse because life got heavy. His plan is steady, strong, and unstoppable. And every morning you wake up is proof that he has not finished writing your story. There is something sacred about early morning moments when the world is quiet and your thoughts are loud. This is where hope begins to speak. Hope is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's choosing to believe that God is at work even when you can't trace his hand. It's choosing to believe that the future is brighter than the past. It's choosing to trust that every closed door, every detour, every delay, and every disappointment is still being used to move you towards something greater. When you start your day with Jeremiah 29, you begin shifting from fear-driven thoughts to faith-driven expectations. You stop focusing on what's missing and you start recognizing what's possible. But embracing hope is not passive, it's intentional. Hope is strengthened through what we speak, what we think, and what we choose to anchor our hearts to. Every day you wake up, you have a decision to make. Will you let circumstances shape your mindset, or will you let God's promise shape your perspective? Will you let anxiety have the first word, or will you let God's plan set the tone? The mornings where you choose God's promise over your problems become the mornings where peace becomes your companion, strength becomes your foundation, and purpose becomes the driving force behind everything you do. Purpose is not something far away. It's not hidden behind a mystery waiting for you to solve it. Purpose is woven into the very breath in your lungs. Purpose shows up when you choose to love people who are hard to love. Purpose shows up when you decide to keep going when quitting feels easier. Purpose shows up when you use what you have, where you are, even if it seems small. Sometimes we think purpose is a huge moment, a spotlight moment, a perfect moment, but most of the time, purpose is found in simple obedience. Purpose is found in showing up. Purpose is found in believing that what God put inside you is needed in the world, even if the world hasn't recognized it yet. Jeremiah 29 reminds us that God's plan is not random. It is not accidental. It is not the result of chance or luck. It is a divine design that has been in motion long before you took your first breath. You were created intentionally, gifted intentionally, placed intentionally, and equipped intentionally. Your life is not a mistake. Your journey is not aimless. Even when the path is confusing, God's plan remains clear. Even when you feel lost, God knows exactly where you are and exactly where he's taking you. And that is why starting the day with his promise gives you strength that circumstances cannot steal. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in the morning is to simply pause and say, God, I don't know what today holds, but I know you hold me. I don't know how everything will unfold, but I know your plan is good. I don't know what challenges I might face, but I trust that you have already prepared the strength I need to overcome them. When you begin your day this way, you are not just setting a mindset, you are building a spiritual shield. You are protecting your joy. You are guarding your peace. You are aligning your heart with the one who sees the full picture when you only see the pieces. Hope is powerful, but hope becomes even stronger when paired with action. Every day you wake up with breath in your lungs is another opportunity to walk in faith. Faith doesn't always mean you feel confident. Faith means you choose to trust God even when you are unsure. Faith doesn't minimize the struggles you face. It magnifies the one who walks with you through them. Faith doesn't deny the existence of fear. It refuses to let fear drive the direction of your life. And when faith and hope begin to work together inside you, something extraordinary happens. You start to move with purpose, clarity, and courage. There are moments where you will question the process. There will be seasons where nothing makes sense. There will be days when it feels like everything is working against you. But here is what you must remember. God's plan does not need your understanding to work. It only needs your trust. The same God who carried you through the hardest chapters of your life is the same God who is preparing the most beautiful chapters ahead. What you thought was a setback may actually be a setup. What you thought was an ending might be the beginning of something better than you ever imagined. God's plan is not just good, it is perfect, timely, and tailored to your life in a way that nothing else can be. And this is why starting your day with Jeremiah 29 is more than a routine. It's a declaration. It's a way of telling yourself, I may not have all the answers, but I have a promise that is stronger than any problem. I may not see the full plan, but I know the planner. I may not feel ready for everything ahead, but I know that God is already there, preparing the path, arranging the opportunities, and strengthening me for what is coming. Every morning becomes an invitation to walk with expectancy. Expectancy is different from optimism. Optimism hopes for good things. Expectancy prepares for them. Expectancy opens the heart to possibilities. It trains the mind to look for divine moments. It teaches you to recognize blessings in places others overlook. It helps you see purpose in situations others consider ordinary. When you live with expectancy, you begin to notice how God weaves hope into small details, how he aligns moments at the perfect time, how he brings unexpected help, unexpected favor, unexpected clarity, and unexpected breakthroughs. Starting the day with God's promise also teaches you to release what you cannot control. Some of the greatest stress we carry comes from trying to fix everything ourselves. But you were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were meant to carry faith. You were meant to carry peace. You're meant to carry courage. God never asked you to figure out every detail. He asked you to trust him with every detail. And trust is built one morning at a time. Trust grows when you wake up each day and choose to surrender the pressures that try to weigh you down. It grows when you acknowledge that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. It grows when you stop rehearsing everything that might go wrong and start remembering everything God has already made right. When you make Jeremiah 29 the starting point of your morning, trust becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural response. You start to see that the God who promised to give you a future and a hope is the same God who is walking with you into every uncertain moment, every difficult conversation, every challenge, every opportunity, and every quiet battle. You fight inside your heart. As trust deepens, something beautiful begins to shift inside you. You start to break free from old patterns, the patterns that tell you to fear the unknown, the patterns that keep you second-guessing yourself, the patterns that convince you you're behind in life, the patterns that whisper that everyone else has it figured out except you. But when you wake up with the promise of Jeremiah 29 in your mind, those patterns lose their power. You begin seeing the truth. God's timeline for your life is not late, it's not early, it's not uncertain. It's perfect. Even delays can carry purpose. Even detours can hold treasure. Even disappointments can be disguised. Redirection's meant to protect you from something that wasn't meant to be a part of your future. Hope becomes your lens. Faith becomes your fuel. Purpose becomes your compass. And little by little, you start walking with a confidence that doesn't come from circumstances aligning, but from knowing that even when circumstances shift, God's promise remains steady. That kind of confidence is unshakable because it was not built by the world, so the world cannot break it. It was not built by applause, so silence cannot weaken it. It was not built by success, so failure cannot destroy it. It was built by promise, by grace, by truth, by the steady assurance that God's hand is on your life, guiding you, strengthening you, preparing you. And when you live with that kind of inner strength, your mornings stop being just a routine. They become a launching pad. You step into the day with clarity. You step into the day with expectation. You step into the day with a mindset that says, whatever comes my way, I am not facing it alone. And when you live like that, even challenges become opportunities to witness God working on your behalf. Even obstacles become stepping stones. Even storms become classroom where you learn resilience, patience, and the power of prayer. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do at the start of your day is simply breathe deeply and remind yourself that you don't need to understand everything to trust God with everything. There is freedom in letting go of the urge to control. There is peace in releasing the weight of what you cannot change. There is strength in surrendering your day into the hands of the one who already knows every moment, every encounter, every twist, every turn. And in that surrender, something shifts. You stop living from a place of fear and begin living from a place of purpose. Purpose isn't just something huge you were born to accomplish. It is something you carry into every small moment of your day. Purpose is in the conversation where you encourage someone who feels forgotten. Purpose is in the patience you choose when frustration tries to rise. Purpose is in the kindness you offer even when no one is watching. Purpose is in the way you show up, the way you serve, the way you give, the way you grow. Purpose radiates from you when you live with a heart anchored in the promise that God's plan for you is not only real, it's active, it's unfolding, and it's guiding you step by step, even when the steps feel small. Some mornings you might feel strong and ready. Other mornings you might wake up tired, discouraged, or unsure. But that's exactly why Jeremiah 29 is so powerful. It is not a promise for only the good days. It is not a promise for only the days when everything goes right. It is a promise for every day, especially the days when you feel lost, overwhelmed, or empty. It is a reminder that even when you don't feel your best, God is still working his best in you. Even when you don't see progress, God is creating it. Even when you don't feel hopeful, hope is still within reach because God is the one who planted it in you in the first place. Hope isn't the absence of struggle. Hope is the presence of truth in the middle of struggle. It's the calm voice inside your heart that reminds you, this season will not break you. This moment will not define you. This obstacle will not stop you. There is something greater ahead. And when you start your day with that kind of hope, you begin to recognize how deeply loved you are by the one who sees your pain, understands your worries, knows your desires, and prepares your victories long before you ever walk into them. The more you ground yourself in God's promise each morning, the more resilient you become to negativity. The world might try to pull you into fear. Situations might try to throw you off balance. People might try to drain your energy, but the promise of Jeremiah 29 becomes like a shield, reminding you who you are, whose you are, and why you're here. You stop absorbing every negative word. You stop internalizing every criticism. You stop expecting the worst. Instead, you begin walking with a confidence that says, I know God is for me, and that is enough. And when you walk into your day with that mindset, other people notice it. Not because you're trying to be impressive, but because peace is noticeable. Joy is noticeable. Purpose is noticeable. When someone carries hope, you can feel it. When someone trusts God deeply, their presence shifts the atmosphere. They speak differently. They think differently. They move differently. They bring calm into chaos, clarity into confusion, and encouragement into discouragement. Living with God's promise inside your heart transforms the way you respond to challenges. Instead of reacting with panic, you respond with prayer. Instead of doubting yourself, you remind yourself that God is still writing your story. Instead of assuming the worst, you start anticipating God's best. And when you face something that feels impossible, you no longer face it with fear. You face it with faith, knowing that the same God who promised hope and a future is the same God who specializes in doing the impossible. There will be days when you feel like you're not making progress, days when the journey feels slow, heavy, or uncertain, but progress is not always visible. Sometimes God grows you in silence. Sometimes he strengthens you in seasons where nothing seems to change on the outside, but everything is changing on the inside. Sometimes he prepares you behind the scenes, aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing, the right steps. And if you keep trusting him every morning, you will eventually look back and realize that every delay had purpose, every struggle built strength, every challenge refined you, and every tear watered seeds that are now blooming. The rhythm of your morning shapes the rhythm of your life. When you start your day with Jeremiah 29, you begin walking with a heart anchored in truth. You step into your responsibilities with renewed energy. You make decisions with clarity. You treat people with compassion. You see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You move forward with purpose instead of pressure, with peace instead of panic, with confidence instead of confusion. Every sunrise is a reminder that God has given you another chance to grow, to rise, to heal, to rebuild, to forgive, to create, to believe, to move forward, to trust. Every sunrise is an invitation to embrace hope again. And hope is not fragile. It's resilient. It's bold. It's powerful. It's God-given. It's activated every time you choose faith over fear, every time you choose gratitude over complaining, every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose trust over control. But hope must be fed. Purpose must be nurtured. It must be exercised. And that is why starting each day with God's promise matters so deeply. It fuels your mind, it strengthens your spirit, it lifts your heart, it realigns your focus. Without even realizing it, you begin shifting into the version of yourself that God always intended you to be: stronger, wiser, calmer, kinder, more compassionate, more patient, more resilient, more courageous. Every morning becomes a spiritual reset. a chance to let go of yesterday's weight, a chance to embrace today's grace, a chance to step into tomorrow's promise, even when life feels overwhelming, even when responsibilities feel heavy, even when challenges feel constant. The promise of Jeremiah 29 steadies your spirit and reminds you that God is still in control. He has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you. He has not changed his mind about your purpose. And the more you internalize that truth, the more your mindset transforms. You stop expecting life to break you and start expecting God to build you. You stop waking up with dread and start waking up with expectation. You stop assuming you're alone and start recognizing God's fingerprints in places you never noticed before. Your perspective becomes clearer, your heart becomes lighter, your spirit becomes stronger, and your steps become steadier, guided not by fear, but by faith, not by pressure, but by purpose, not by uncertainty, but by promise. And as you continue stepping into each day with that promise alive in your spirit, you begin to understand something profound. Your life is not defined by what you go through. It is defined by what God is doing through you. Every situation that felt like it was designed to break you becomes something God uses to build you. Every season that felt confusing becomes a chapter where clarity slowly emerges. Every moment you thought you were alone becomes a moment where God was actually leading you closer to your purpose. And when you start your mornings anchored in Jeremiah 29, your eyes begin to see what your heart was always meant to recognize. That nothing in your life is wasted, nothing is accidental, and nothing escapes God's plan. There will be days when the world tries to shake your confidence. Days when people's words try to weaken your spirit. Days when your own thoughts try to convince you that you're not enough, not capable, not valuable. But when you begin your day rooted in God's promise, you create a spiritual filter that protects your heart from lies and fills your mind with truth. You start catching negative thoughts before they settle. You start rejecting doubt before it grows. You start pushing back against fear before it takes hold. Instead of allowing the world to tell you who you are, you allow God's promise to speak louder. This is where transformation really begins, inside the quiet spaces of your heart where no one sees but God. It begins in the moments when you choose faith over frustration. It begins in the conversations you have with yourself early in the morning, when you remind your soul that God's plan is greater than whatever has been trying to drain your energy. It begins in the simple act of waking up and saying, today I'm walking with purpose. Today I'm living with hope. Today I'm trusting God's plan. With every repetition of those thoughts, your faith grows stronger, your outlook becomes clearer, your hope becomes more grounded. And the more you build this morning foundation, the more you begin to walk differently through the world. You notice that the same situations that used to stress you now motivate you. The same people who once discouraged you now inspire you to rise above. The same setbacks that once shook your confidence now strengthen your resolve. Because when your heart starts each day anchored in divine truth, nothing has the same ability to pull you away from it anymore. There's something powerful about the moment you finally understand that your steps are ordered. Not random, not chaotic, ordered, crafted, guided, protected. Even when the path feels uncertain, God's hand is steady. Even when your emotions fluctuate, God's plan does not. And when you start your day acknowledging that truth, the chaos loses its ability to confuse you. You stop letting external circumstances determine internal peace. And peace, once it enters your morning, begins to spread into the rest of your day. Peace in how you think, peace in how you speak, peace in how you make decisions, peace in how you handle conflict, peace in how you respond to pressure, peace in how you navigate moments that used to overwhelm you. This kind of peace cannot be manufactured by routines or strategies. It is born from trust. It is born from knowing that God is not only aware of your future, but actively preparing it. With each morning spent in alignment with his promise, you begin to see purpose even in the smallest details of your day. A conversation that feels ordinary suddenly becomes meaningful. A problem that arises unexpectedly becomes an opportunity for growth. A challenge that once felt impossible becomes a moment where God gives you strength you didn't know you had. And as this awareness grows, your relationship with God becomes something you don't just think about. It becomes something you live. Your actions reflect hope. Your words carry encouragement. Your decisions flow from wisdom. Even your silence speaks peace. People around you begin to feel something different, something steady, something warm, something true. They may not know exactly what's changed, but they can see that something is guiding you, something is lifting you, something is giving you strength in places where most people would break, and that something is the promise you choose to wake up with every single day. Starting your day with Jeremiah 29 also reminds you that your future is not determined by your past. So many people live imprisoned by what they've been through: mistakes, failures, regrets, broken relationships, missed opportunities, wasted years. But the beauty of God's promise is that it breaks the power of the past. It reminds you that there is nothing you've faced, nothing you've done, and nothing you've lost that can cancel the future God has planned for you. Your past may shape you, but it does not define you. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are the result of God's mercy. You are not chained to yesterday. You are being led into tomorrow. You are not trapped by where you've been. You are chosen for where you're going. And when you wake up each morning believing that, the weight of regret begins to lift. You begin to understand that God can turn scars into stories, pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom, and setbacks into stepping stones. Every morning becomes a new chapter, and you begin to appreciate just how miraculous that is. A new beginning every single day, a reset button that God built into creation. What happened yesterday no longer has authority over today. What went wrong last week no longer determines what can go right now. What felt impossible last month may become the very thing God makes possible in this season. Your mornings become a reminder that your life is moving forward, even when you don't feel it. Sometimes growth is loud and noticeable. Other times it is quiet and hidden, but it is happening regardless. God grows you through challenges, through blessings, through waiting seasons, through unexpected shifts, through moments of clarity and moments of confusion. And when you begin your day trusting his plan, you begin recognizing that everything has purpose. Even the things that hurt, even the things you didn't ask for, even the things you didn't expect. There's a strength that rises inside you when you wake up with hope. You start carrying yourself differently. You start believing in possibilities again. You start dreaming again. You start showing up to your life with a sense of determination that wasn't there before. Hope makes you bold. Hope makes you persistent. Hope makes you resilient. Hope gives you the courage to take steps you once feared taking. Hope reminds you that even if the way forward is uncertain, staying stuck is never an option when God is guiding your steps. And the more you nurture hope in the morning, the more you begin to recognize divine moments throughout your day. A conversation that lifts your spirit, an idea that suddenly clicks, a solution that appears in the middle of frustration, a message that reaches you at the perfect time, a door that opens when another closes. These moments don't happen by coincidence. They happen because God is actively involved in every detail of your journey, and the more you trust him, the more you begin to sense his presence in everything, in the silence, in the noise, in the waiting, in the moving, in the stillness, in the struggle, in the victory. Everywhere, your heart becomes more sensitive to his guidance. Your mind becomes more focused on his direction. Your life becomes more aligned with his purpose. And before you even realize it, you're no longer just reading Jeremiah 29, you're living it. Living with the awareness that your future is secure, living with the confidence that your steps are guided, living with the peace that your path is prepared, living with the hope that your story is still being written, living with the understanding that every day is part of a divine plan designed with precision, love, and intention. And as this Ruth takes root in your soul, you begin carrying a quiet confidence into every room, every situation, every decision. You stop rushing the process. You stop fearing the unknown. You stop trying to control every detail. You begin resting in the assurance that what is meant for you will find you, and what is not meant for you will be removed, not to harm you, but to protect you. Your days start to feel less like battles and more like journeys. You begin noticing beauty in places you used to overlook. You begin experiencing joy in moments you once rushed through. You begin feeling gratitude in circumstances that once frustrated you. Because when your heart is anchored in God's promise, life becomes less about surviving and more about becoming who you were created to be, becoming stronger in spirit, becoming wiser in choices, becoming kinder in words, becoming deeper in faith, becoming aligned with purpose, becoming grounded in truth. And all of this begins not halfway through the day, not when everything is calm, not when circumstances are perfect, but the moment you open your eyes and say, God, I trust your plan for my life today. As this journey of reflection comes to a close, remember this. Each new day is far more than a date on the calendar or a routine you repeat. It is a sacred invitation, an invitation to rise with purpose, to breathe in hope, to walk with confidence, and to anchor your heart in the promise that has carried generations and still carries you now. When you begin each morning with the truth of Jeremiah 29, you step into the day fully aware that your life is part of a divine design woven with love, intention, and meaning. You are reminded that no matter how uncertain life feels, God's plan remains certain. No matter how heavy yesterday was, today is filled with new mercies. No matter what lies ahead, you are never walking into it alone. Let this promise live in your heart long after the morning fades. Let it shape your thoughts, strengthen your faith, and guide your decisions. Let it become the foundation beneath every step you take, the light that cuts through every shadow, and the voice that speaks louder than fear, doubt, or disappointment. because every sunrise whispers that your story is still unfolding, your future is still bright, and your purpose is still alive within you. So go forward with courage, go forward with confidence, go forward with expectation. Walk boldly into each new day knowing that the one who holds the universe also holds your future. And his plan for you has always been and will always be filled with hope.